Shalom YouTube. Hey guys, it's Fletch. Welcome back to Ozark's Tactical Homesteading, or OTH. Today we are looking at the deck disaster of 2016. So as some of you may have heard in the last, I don't know, month or so, there was an earthquake in Oklahoma. That's where the epicenter of it was, but we could actually feel it here in the Ozarks as well. And this is what happened with our deck, and it is painted green right now because we had some guests over, and the deck was starting to collapse down, and just because the deck was uneven at the time and it wasn't completely collapsed, so we painted it that green color just so people wouldn't trip on it. So I'm sure someone's going to want to know why it's painted green. Now you know. But anyways, because of the earthquake, it started to separate and peel apart. So if you look right here, you can see. If you look right here, you can see that where the nails pulled out of the end of the joist there, and by the way, those of you that are grammar Nazis, that is the proper way to say that. It's not joices. Joices is not a word, it's Joyce. And like it's not Deerses or Elkses. But anyways, yeah, I'm being silly. So continuing on, so you can see where the deck just kind of pulled out of there. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back through and we're going to cut off all of those nails, because it, obviously it wasn't built right to begin with. Now we did not build this. It's just the way the deck was, the house, the deck was when we purchased it. And then we're going to come back through, and you can see that the previous owner, when they built it, they tried anyways to put some bracing in there, but it was just these 4x4s, and they're basically just sitting on top of the ground. And so the whole deck was settling and shifting and falling. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be coming in and doing this and adding the capstones with shim on top of it to sure it up. And then we'll pull this side of the deck back up in line with this, and then it'll all be nice and look good when we're done. But basically that whole deck right there, so we're looking, I think it's about 16 by 30 or something like that is the size of the deck out here. Nice sized deck, and we're not that high off the ground, so there's not really any major safety concerns per se. But yeah, so this is what we're going to be working on today, is getting all the nails cut off, the hangers. Well, we got to get it raised up before we put the hangers on, because you have to lift up each joist and then put the hanger on once it's lifted, because you can't lift it up and over like that. It just doesn't work that way. So that's what we're working on the homestead today. I've got a great uncle that's in the area. He's going to come visit us tomorrow, and so we need to get this all fixed up and looking good and safe for an elderly gentleman to be walking on this and entering the house. So we kind of have to get this done today. But we'll give you an idea of what we're doing as we're going. But yeah, it's interesting if you look at it, because this whole part of the deck over here, there's absolutely no support underneath that. So let me see if I can get the camera adjusted the right way here in the viewfinder so I can see it. But you look under there, you can see there's that one cinder block right there, and that was basically their idea of supporting it. And that's obviously not enough for 30 feet, and there needs to be some type of a beam under there to help brace it up. And so what we're going to be doing is using 4x4s as a beam, like a stack of 4x4s over there, and we're going to do all this with screws so that at a later time when we're ready to completely rebuild this deck, we'll disassemble it and we'll be able to reuse them for other things. Now, the other reason for using 4x4s for our beam is that we need to be able to get those beams underneath the deck where we need them to be without crawling underneath there, because there's not a lot of room. And I'm sure that it's probably still at this point tick and chigger infested. So we really don't want to be underneath there, and we want to work from above. But you know, those are pressure treated 4x4s, and we're going to put those underneath there. And because we're 16 feet across, so you know, we'll do several of these supports like this underneath the 4x4s, and it'll help uphold the jack. And then we're using a little 12-ton bottle jack, and then a ranch jack or a bumper jack to jack it up and to get everything where we need it. But that's what we're working on today, and we'll let you take a look at it once it's done. And hope you're having a blessed day. Talk to you soon. Shalom YouTube. So it's a couple days later, and right now we are working on shoring up the rest of the deck and putting supports in the middle. So this is basically what we got going on. We really only need to support the middle of this deck because it does have proper perimeter supports, but for whatever reason they didn't put any in the middle. And so what we're doing here is we got a 4x4 that we've got under some cement capstone blocks, and then some cut up 5/4 by 6 or 1 by 6, whatever they call it where you live. And right now we're tying the 4x4 post that we used as a beam. We're tying it to each joist by using a hurricane hanger or a roof clip, depending on what they call it where you live. So of course we started down at the bottom, using a level. There's our level, to make sure that each one of those capstone bricks, blocks, whatever, down in there were level. And then, you know, we made sure that the 4x4 was centered, you know, from this side over and from that side over. And so right now the boys are gonna remeasure it to make sure that it didn't move when they put that clip on right there, and they'll start working their way out. And then we're going to put another one right here to give it full support at about every 10 feet. And so here is, right here, this green board we talked about. We painted it for visibility. This was the old edge that you saw completely falling down in the ground. And yes, there's another thing about Rhodesian Ridgebacks. They're definitely a member of the hound family too. They like their naps. So we also replaced the stairs here. And yes, if it's not obvious, this property was a bit of a distressed property that we bought out of pre-foreclosure. So we are having to do some fixer-up work on it, but that's fine. The price we paid for it was commensurate for that. But so we replaced the stairs, and you can see we put 4 stringers in there, and I did a flush mount off of the edge of the deck, and I just used some simple 45 hangers to help hold it in there. And I used 2x12s, even though it was a bit of overkill, because I didn't want to have to do this again. And I made sure that these 2x12s that I used were indeed rated for ground contact, so we're good to go there. And we're gonna, you know, put some more fascia boards on there, or I don't remember what those are called right now. One there, one there, and then we'll put our posts back up on the edges here, and then re-tie in the railings. And so this is also school for today, because these boys are learning mathematics. They're learning how to count. They're learning how to measure. They're also learning how to use logic and reasoning skills to figure out how much blocking they need to put underneath each one of those 4x4s as they raise up. And Jeremiah is also learning leadership skills, because right now he is leading his brother on how to do this, because I've taught him how to do this, and now he's teaching his brother how to do this so that he knows and he's aware of how to do it too. So hopefully today we'll at least be finished up with getting this decking put back on. And several of the boards, especially over here up against the house, are pretty rotted out. So excuse me, we're just going to put some new boards on there. But you know, 5/4 by 6 or 1 by 6 at 16 inches long is about $11 to $13 a board here. So obviously we really don't want to be replacing any more than what we just absolutely have to. But we're almost done with it, and it'll be all shored up and safe for the family for many years to come. The wood underneath it is still in good shape. It's still you know, very solid and sound, so we don't have any problems or issues there. But that's what's happening on OTH today. Thanks for joining us today. Hope you're having a blessed day. Boys, say shalom to everybody.
Shalom.